What is up, everybody? Welcome to the CAP Podcast, where we tackle the issues surrounding the greatest country ever established. 242 years running, and you are fortunate enough to be alive at this very moment. I am one of your hosts, Josh Groner, and sitting across from me is my good friend, Tyler Rivers. How are we doing today?
What's going on?
Not much. Not much.
Did you vote today?
I went and voted. Early.
Beautiful.
Got my sticker. Not wearing my sticker, but I got a sticker.
Beautiful.
There was a little kid there who also got like a handful of stickers. He was like with his mom or something like that.
Sure.
And the lady's like, "Oh, here, have a bunch of stickers." And he just got like, I don't know if he got a whole roll or what. She gave him a ton of stickers.
That's awesome.
I was a little jealous.
That's
I
awesome.
wanted as many stickers as he had.
Cool.
A lot of people voting today.
Yes.
A lot of people when I went there, holding signs and everything like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think people are starting to realize how important it is to vote.
Yeah.
I think it's a big deal to a lot of people that lost last election.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very huge
They're all amped up.
deal. Yes. I feel like failure causes people to get more amped for things like this. Once the word gets out that you can vote.
I don't think that even if they're all amped up, I think both sides were amped up though, because
in a way, sure.
we'll see. I mean, we'll see. The results will be in. Polls close at 8 o'clock, so
right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Should be good.
I'm excited. I'm optimistic and excited. So we got a topic today. It's a little more interesting. And you remember last week when we had, what were we talking about last week? We brought up like the migrant caravan, and we kind of had a small disagreement. So I'm hoping we'll have a small disagreement on this one as well, just to kind of debate it.
Boy, okay.
We'll find out.
Okay.
I can argue both ends of the spectrum, but I'll give you my honest opinion first of what I think. So today's topic would be, if you had power, what would you do with it?
Presidential power?
Any type of power. I mean, I was going along the lines of the presidency because that's, I don't want to say that's the ultimate power. I mean, but it's pretty high up there, right? You have a lot of influence at this point. You can change the law. You can change the game. You can do all this stuff, right?
Sure.
You write stuff into, you sign it into law. You have full control of the military. You can bring wars. You can basically manifest destiny the entire world. You can go take over everybody, right? Not that you would, or you probably couldn't, but, you know, whatever. Anything like that. You could start wars on wars, anything like that. If you had power, you were the president, what would you use it for? Would you be a good guy? Would you be a bad guy?
That's a loaded question, man. I feel like I'd be the same person that I am today.
Right.
You know,
you don't think it would change you?
No, I mean,
you don't think power would change you in any way?
I don't think power would change me because I'm aware of the negative effects of power.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm aware of the complacency of having that power and being
the responsibility that comes with it, right?
Well, not even just the responsibility, but just having the complacency to be, this is now me, and I can do whatever I want, and everyone is below me. That is power. Power is being above somebody.
Right.
And power is having a driving force behind you that supersedes you.
Sure.
Right? And typically that's not God-given power, but that's human-given power.
Yeah, you're not like a king. You're just you were an elected official.
Exactly. Sure. We give another human that power.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a pretty mentally deep concept of power, but like in a more realistic sense of what you're asking me is, what would I do with that power if I was president?
Yeah.
Well, I'd pretty much do everything I could to unify the country. I'd unify the guy. I'd be a good guy. Yeah.
Your big thing would be unifying the country?
I would unify the country and bring it back to its roots, but at the most primitive level. And I would push morality. I would push moral high standards to people instead of worrying about everything we worry about today. Instead of being the guy that talks about immigration, instead of being the guy that talks about greenhouse gases, or instead of being the guy that talks about the war in Afghanistan and Iraq and bringing up past things in Iran and North Korea and Russia, I'd go back to the moral roots. I'd say, listen, guys, here's what we need to do. We need to regroup, rethink, and bring it from there. We need to step it back.
A little more simple. So the reason I asked this question is because midterms are a big thing right now, and Democrats really want to get back into, the majority and have the power, right?
Right.
It gets me because it's like, I'm thinking like, why would they try so hard where they would lie to people, they would influence people, they would just make bad decisions that hurt Americans overall? Because, like, again, their big thing is the caravan. They want to let in all these illegal immigrants to just vote for them so they can get power again.
Right.
It's bad, right? Why do they want power so bad? What could they
Do you want my opinion on that?
Gain? I think it's for immortalization. They immortalize themselves if they have power. What do you think?
Explain that a little bit before I answer.
So, if you have power,
sure.
you can immortalize yourself and be someone like a George Washington, right? George Washington is immortal. He's always remembered. He's got...
How would Hillary Clinton, if she was elected president?
I mean, she would have been a president. She would have tried her best to do
she's going to run in 2020.
Oh,
she's going to. You know she's going to.
I don't think that they'll pick her as their choice. I think they're going to pick
Well,
Chief
let's say
Warren.
she does. Let's say she does. How would she immortalize herself?
She
Like, what do you think the whole
immortalize
grand
herself.
scheme of...
So her grand scheme of immortalizing herself would be like probably making some sort of drastic decision that would change the shape and the way that... I mean, any president in general is immortalized, right? Because there's only been 45 of them, right? But each one has their own type of legacy. I mean, for example, no one's thinking fondly of President Garfield like, oh, you know what, President Garfield did this, that, and the other thing, right? It's sort of, he's there, he did it, you know,
Right.
he had things. No one thinks of President Taft very fondly, but he's still immortalized, but not as represented or as praised as someone like a George Washington or a JFK.
Would you say
something like that.
Obama's immortalized?
I don't think so.
I would say so.
You think? You know what? You're right. I shouldn't have said that. You're right, because he is the first African American president, so that is kind of a big deal.
And I would say that after having presidents like George W. Bush, Bill Clinton,
Yeah.
Senior,
Yep.
you know what I mean? I think that after having not mediocre presidents, because they definitely weren't. They all three of those guys definitely did bigger things.
I mean, every president's done something, but
Yes.
it's the grand scheme of what you did, right?
But Obama was kind of the recession was going on,
Yeah.
or going to happen, right? It was kind of in that weird interim phase.
He just got it. It just happened. So
Right.
he had to basically take over it.
And now he's the guy where it's the biggest recession since, man, I don't know, the credit bubble.
No, the credit bubble wasn't that bad. Or not the credit bubble. We're in that right now.
No, what am
You'll
I
see that
asking?
thing
What
explode
am
soon.
I trying
You
to
mean
explain?
the Great Depression?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. But like one of the biggest recessions since, and one of the most defining moments in American history when it's we're in wars, right? We're in active wars in the
Yep.
Middle East. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of racism.
Well, I don't think the country was as divided on race
No,
as he got in.
No, I don't think
but
so. I think it was still a thing.
It was definitely still a thing, sure.
But he was tasked with some really hard stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody would have been tasked with the same thing.
He didn't have it easy, and that's why I do sympathize with him a little bit. Everybody hates on him, and rightfully so. He made a lot of bad decisions, but I do sympathize with him to an extent because he didn't have it very easy.
Right. So, yeah, I would definitely say Obama is a immortalized president, right? Do I agree with all his policies? Obviously not. You know that.
Yeah.
But I think as a Democratic president, definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, I mean, they really hadn't had a hit since JFK.
And JFK,
So,
oof.
I don't even think he was that good.
If he was given more time, absolutely.
I don't know. There's like small theories about if he didn't get assassinated, there wouldn't have been enough sympathy to pass the civil rights law, which basically LBJ passed to basically stop segregation and stuff like that.
I think it
it's
would have
interesting.
passed.
I don't know. I don't think he would have had enough sympathy.
Let's scale this back.
Yeah, we're going off a different topic, but what do you think she would want the power for? Is what I'm trying to get at. It's just like they want power so bad.
They would
want to
change-
immortalize himself. I think that's what it is.
They would change the current process of how we pass laws. They would change the current process of how long the president can stay in term. They would do some serious
I think
damage.
they would change that as well. Yep.
I think that they would use. Well, here's the issue: if a Democratic president was elected in 2020, they would face some serious issues, right? You have a massively large republic right now, right? So, I would say
The majority of Americans are Republican. You think?
right,
Yeah.
right, like, or at least leaning to the right.
Yeah.
You would have a massive issue being a Democratic president just because you would have to win over the hearts and minds.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to do a lot of bribery. You'd have to make things look like you're benefiting everybody.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it would be
Yep.
a lot of deception. It would be a lot of corruption, I believe. And
Yep.
it would be a lot of paid deception. It would be a lot of paid corruption.
Well, why do you think they do that? Because scale it back to the Clintons again, right? They already have money. They're not going to do it for money. They've already got political influence. They can influence most people to do things, or they'll probably off them. Conspiracy theory. Maybe they do off people. Who knows? Look it up yourself. But what could they possibly want? I just don't know.
Well,
They're already.
they want power.
technically-
That's an
Why?
obvious thing. But Do you believe in any kind of shadow government? Do you believe in those conspiracies where there's somebody bigger behind the picture?
No, I don't genuinely believe that.
I genuinely believe in some sort of
You think there's some sort of
powers
like
to be.
Illuminati? Not the Illuminati, but
not
something
Illuminati,
like that.
but I would say the wealthiest of the wealthy
Sure.
that have interests that are willing to pay people to do whatever they need them to do in
Yeah.
order to secure those interests. Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are one of those people that would do anything for that,
Yeah.
right? Part of which it takes a special person to do those things because you need to be able to be happy in the limelight.
Yeah.
You need to like being in front of people looking like the figurehead.
Yeah, you got
even though you're not.
Yeah.
Even though you're a pawn. That's why I believe it's such a big deal that Trump is president because I don't believe he's part of any of that.
I don't think he is either.
The reason being is because he has his own money. He has his own stuff.
Right. Well, here's the thing with him though is like I understand why he would want power.
Right.
He would want to become the president of the United States. I totally get it. He's not in it for the money because he's already shown he's not in it for the money. He donates all of his money to certain charities. He's lost money.
Right.
Right. He's not in it for immortality either. I just think he genuinely wants to fix things.
Yes. Well, maybe not fix things, but I think he wants things to change.
Make things better.
Yes.
But I think maybe he wants to make it better for not only his kids but his grandkids and his for the dynasty of his whole family.
Unpopular opinion, I don't think Trump really has a swell understanding of what he's doing. I think he has feelings on certain subjects. And I think that he has certain political views that he is firm with, like immigration, tax reform, healthcare, things like that. But I feel like he doesn't really know what the outcome of all this is going to be. I think
that's what I wanted to dive into as well. Is that no one knows the outcome of a lot of these things too. We'll dive into that a little bit later because there's something that I wanted to talk to you about.
You're loaded tonight. You got it all.
It could be a completely different topic, but it's just the concept of. We'll dive into it, I guess, for a second, just because I'm also curious on what you would think about this. So, like, you know how in like the early 2000s, we started the war on terror. We go and invade Afghanistan and then Iraq, right?
Kicking doors, man.
Right, and we now know in 2018,
no WMDs were found.
It was a bad idea, right?
Horrible
it destabilized the Middle East.
Well, it was a good idea and a bad idea. I don't want to get into it.
Right,
but we got him.
We got him.
Geronimo.
We got him. Well, it's just the thing is that like you look back at it now and it's like you know for a fact it's the wrong decision, but you wouldn't change it because the outcome could be worse if you didn't do it, right?
Correct.
This could be a completely whole other topic because
this
is like
definitely
a huge rabbit hole that like
absolutely
it blows my mind. It's like the butterfly effect, right? I love the butterfly effect. The whole concept of that is amazing. But again, I don't think that Trump doesn't know what he's doing. I think he knows what he's doing, but nobody knows the outcome of anything, right? So I think he's just kind of taking it, playing his cards like, all right, this is the best option we have right now. Let's give this a shot. He does it, and if it's a success, it's a success. If it's a failure, then have it. So be it. But my whole thing is that I think he's genuinely in it or the reason he wants power is just because he's in it to help people.
I would agree.
I
would agree.
I think maybe Obama had that mindset,
sure,
but then it turned into money.
Well, I feel like the DNC is such a corruption. It's so corrupted. Like I feel like it.
I mean, it's not. It's both. It's both sides of the spectrum. I think the RNC has a lot of corruption as well,
no,
but not nearly as much as the DNC.
But that's my thing. Is like you don't hear too many Democrat politicians that they go into these elections and campaigns and things like that, and they have certain views.
Right.
And then all of a sudden their views change.
Dirty money.
And they change, and all of a sudden they're like everybody else. Republicans, you don't have that.
Yeah.
Republicans, you might have a loudmouth, right? You might have a guy that pisses off a lot of people, but their views are still their views. Donald Trump's views are not Ted Cruz's views.
No, right.
Marco Rubio has totally different views.
To an extent, sure.
Right, but like it's interesting because like none of them conform with each other. All of them have the same issues, and they all call each other out. You never hear about Bernie Sanders calling out Hillary Clinton after he joined the DNC.
Oh, after he got screwed, and then they're just like, all right, well,
come
you're not going to be the
us.
nominee.
Come with us. Grab our hand and come with us.
Yeah, he's such a weak dude for that. He's so weak for that.
You wait in 2020 when it becomes who's going to be the nominee, and it's going to be mind-boggling, I think.
It's going to be Chief Warren. I'm convinced it's Chief Warren. That's what I'm calling her now.
I don't believe so.
I'm not calling her senator. She doesn't deserve that decency.
Negative.
It's Chief Warren. How? I mean, you have him going in, like I said, I feel like a lot of it's for money.
Sure.
But if you were to go in, you wouldn't want any of that, right? You wouldn't care about...
No, I wouldn't even care about the paycheck.
You wouldn't care about the paycheck?
Nope.
Just the power itself, you would use it for good.
Sure. Let's say I was a dad with a wife and 2 kids.
Yep.
I'd want to make sure that my kids just had a life. They could go to public school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't need anything fancy.
That's where I would go along those lines. Is if I had power, all I would want to do with my power is cement my legacy, because I'd want to be immortalized.
Right. I want to be the
I
president.
would feel that for myself. I'd want to be immortalized and get something done meaningful.
Sure.
I don't really care about... Money's great, sure. If the opportunity was thrown at me to get more money,
Sure.
I don't know, maybe. We'll see. I mean...
I feel like the best way I can describe it would be, I'd want to take the laws that we have governed and look at them, edit them, revise them to the best of my ability.
Right.
And with the House and Congress and with a bipartisanship setup. But I'd also want to create laws that just make sense. I want to bring it back to the common moral standards that unify people.
Yes.
Right? What makes sense for people to actually live in a not a utopia, but just a regular society.
Bring it back to the basics.
Right.
Bring it back to the basics.
What makes sense to have?
And just make sure the future is solidified as well, because that's one big thing for me too. If I had kids, or like my wife and kids, it's like I want to make sure the country is not only there for them, I want to make sure that they excel.
You got to remember, we're one of the longest standing nations.
Not really. We're still a fairly young nation.
Well, 300 years is quite a long time, I think. So you have to remember, like, superpowers though don't a lot of things happen. If you look at Napoleon, if you look at Genghis Khan, if you look at all those, they all came from dynasties.
Yeah,
those
were. Yeah, okay. I see where you're going.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to solidify a base quickly, right? We have a president that runs it for 4 years, and then another guy comes in, and then 4 years later another guy comes in. 4 years later another guy comes in.
Yeah.
And that's all good. I believe in that process.
Yeah.
I believe in having multiple views, multiple voices.
Yeah.
And not one guy that was in charge for 80 years.
Well, like, term limits are still a relatively new thing. It's all because, what's his name? FDR. President for 16 years. And then he's like, all right, we should probably, probably put a limit on this.
Getting a little tired.
Do you like term limits?
I believe in term limits for a president, sure. I don't believe that we should ever be ruled by...
well, I mean, if he still gets consistently elected in office, like if he still consistently gets voted for...
That's how Hitler got it. You can instill fear.
He instilled his power, like, sure, okay, I see where you're going, yeah.
Now, you need to remember, we live in a society where any kind of backlash against the government is seen as a terrorist.
If you had the Clintons in office and they were like, well, we're not giving up this power, they would probably do something crazy.
Picture this. Yeah. Picture this. You have the Clintons in office in 2020. All of a sudden, they start doing some really hokey stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You would have a massive uprising of American citizens that are so right-leaning that they would call the government treasonous.
Yeah.
Those people would be labeled terrorists.
That's such a smart thing that the Founding Fathers put into the Constitution. That's why it's...
It is, but you need to remember that under a Democratic president, it won't be looked at like that. They'll say this piece of paper that's...
Well, that's the thing, is that you have people that, like, understand... This is why it's the greatest document ever written, right?
Ever written.
If there ever needs to be a reset button, I'll put it above the Bible. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I'm putting it above the Bible.
Sorry, Jesus.
The Bible's too long to read.
Wow.
They literally put in place a safety mechanism where it's like, if we need to hit the reset button, this is what you're supposed to do. We're giving you people permission, if we get out of control, to hit the reset button. And we've not had to. The Civil War, I don't even think, was necessarily a reset button.
No,
you
negative.
had the South exercising their right to leave the United States and become their own country.
We're going to succeed.
And stuff like that.
Succeed.
The Civil War is another interesting topic, too.
But
it's just like, it's literally like the greatest document. If you have something like that where a Democratic president comes in and then would not want to leave, but it's like, you could even use it for Donald Trump, for an example, right? Say Republicans did it, and Donald Trump... what was it? Remember when the 2016 election was going on, he said he would not accept the results no matter what, right? And it's like, you won't accept these results you would never concede in if she by some unfortunate circumstances had won.
Right.
Changed my words there. He would have never accepted it. It actually even happened in 2002. Like, Al Gore never accepted the outcome of the presidency. He lost. Never accepted it. George Bush, I don't think, was confirmed president until January of 2001.
Right.
I mean, it like went on for a while.
Yeah.
If you had something like that, it goes on both sides, but just the concept behind it is like crazy.
But like, what's interesting about the whole treason thing is, to stem it all back to the power question.
Mm-hmm.
If I was president and I had a big uprising in the country, I would need to determine very quickly, is this within constitutional ground, or is this terrorist? Or is this a terrorist act, right?
Yep.
Is this just a group of people out to cause chaos?
Yep.
Honestly, I treat them, if it's constitutional, then sure. If I'm being treasonous and there's a group of let's say 100,000 Americans that feel the need to march up to my White House and start shooting at it and taking back the country, damn. Well, if you feel that strongly,
I mean,
it is what it is.
It's just so crazy to think that I don't ever think that would happen in my lifetime, but the idea behind it is just like absolutely. That'd be a great movie.
Imagine living in a dictatorship. Imagine that. Like, the American people would not stand for that. The American people would never give up their guns. The American people would never lose the power that they have. That's a great roundabout to your power question. Is not only if I was president, but I'm already given the power to be an American citizen. That's a lot of power. You can do a lot.
Yep.
I feel like no matter how much power you're going to give anybody that we put in office ever, the power of the citizens are going to outweigh the power of the government tenfold.
True. If you have strength in numbers, right?
That's a good question. A lot of
people.
That's a really good question.
That's an interesting answer to that too. But it's still, I still can't get like a solid answer as to why some of these people would want power so bad that they would be willing to ruin the country to get it. Other than just being immortal.
Yeah.
It's
some people are just bad people.
Do anything. It's just, some people are just truly evil.
I feel like some people are just out to do it because they just feel like they can do it, and that's just it. That's the only reason why. They don't care about the good.
A lot of these people already have money too, so it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, that's a stigma too. I think that people have against other people too, is that people with a lot of money are just bad people. You ever feel like you hear that stigma a lot?
I hear that a lot, and I feel like 95% of the time it's false.
I agree. I don't think that's true at all.
Because I've heard of stories where people get lucky, they invent something, they sell it, and now they're millionaires, and that's just what happens.
Like even just, I mean, I guess it would still invent.
I mean, that's the whole argument about tax reform in the country,
right?
Tax the wealthy, make them pay more. They make all this money, pay them more, and it's like, yeah, but this guy busted his butt for 30 years.
Well, that's the
on
thing,
a patent.
Right?
Yeah. He sold it. He made, I don't know, $80 million off it, and now he's going to pay more taxes than everybody else because he worked his ass off or something. To me, that self-made does not make any sense to tax more than the next guy.
So
that's why I believe in a flat tax rate.
I saw this. I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah.
I agree with 100%. Flat taxes make it simple.
It makes sense.
But I saw this interview the other day, and it was who was it? It was Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson, right?
Okay. Yes.
And the concept of the interview, they had a conversation of talking about how the rich are strong, right? But because of their strength, they have slight moral obligation to keep everybody else safe, employed,
correct,
and health insurance and all this type of stuff. So
correct.
Like you have, for example, a billionaire like Bill Gates, right? Who employs, I don't know how many people Microsoft employs.
Sure.
I'm sure it's thousands.
Sure.
Right? So he is a billionaire. He then is in charge of Microsoft, which employs 200,000 employees. Right. I don't know if I'm just spitballing that number. Sure. It could be more, it could be less. I could be way off. I don't know. He is basically keeping these people. He's keeping these people employed. He's feeding these people because he's giving them money. He's giving them health insurance. He's giving them benefits. He gives them everything to basically have a sustainable, good life.
Sure.
He's a great person. Bill Gates is a terrific person.
That is a certain power that not everybody could handle.
No, I don't think so.
Even if it was like an overnight success story.
Yeah.
Like even if you got lucky and you made a whole lot of money off of, I don't know, let's say some sort of deal, maybe a bet. Right. Sure. Maybe one night you bet your $100,000 on the Super Bowl and you came out with I don't know.
Yeah, 20 to 1 odds. You know,
$20 million. Let's say you made $2 million or $20 million, right? All of a sudden you buy a franchise. Let's say you buy a Best Buy franchise, and you want to open up a Best Buy store.
Sure.
Or whatever the situation is. Now you're going to have to employ people.
Yep.
You're responsible for that.
And you're keeping these people strong. You're keeping these people. Now, I don't want to say in check because that's not what I want to. It's not what I mean. You're keeping these people in a livable state.
Sure.
So it's like, why would you ever want to punish rich people for being rich?
Right.
When people are rich and strong, the country is strong because the middle class will become strong. The lower class will become strong. Stuff like that because they keep them employed. Right.
And
this concept blew my mind.
Yeah. Corporate America in more ways than one is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Because it employs people. You
Exactly.
get people to get up and go to work and make money.
Yeah.
Right. And if you had mom and pop businesses everywhere that were just little things, you wouldn't have the kind of technology or the advancemeds like we've had.
No.
Most of the advancements come at the expense of big corporations.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Maybe they're at their pace. Maybe they're slowed down or sped up by that. But bottom line is the bigger companies get it done.
Yeah.
By any measure. So what also was interesting about this is not only are the rich owning corporate businesses and owning, giving advice. A lot of the rich give advice, and a lot of the rich. There's so many resources out there for.
They work harder than most people too.
Oh, it's
they
crazy.
Work like 17-hour days.
Look at a rich guy's
like
schedule. Look at a guy with a lot of power, and look at his schedule. You won't find any time, any open time at all.
They're a different breed of people, and not to say that they're like godly. They're definitely a different breed of people. Though.
Borderline psychopath. Borderline just straight crazy, man.
They are, man.
And I mean that in a respectful way.
Yes, exactly.
But here's the other thing too. You have those people that made a lot of money overnight.
Yep.
Or maybe over the course of a lifetime, but just made a lot of money.
Sure.
And now they're just doing nothing with it. They're buying cars, they're taking pictures, they're meeting celebrities. Like, they just don't care, right? And I feel like that's okay. I feel like you're going to have those people. I feel like even on the middle class level, you have people like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So what's the point of taxing them more? Like, what are they doing wrong?
It's just because, like, the Bernie Sanders mentality, they make more, so they deserve to pay more. It's like...
It's called jealousy.
It's exactly...
It's called jealousy. It's called jealousy of power.
Envy.
It's called... Exactly. It's called envy.
It's that is a sin.
It's one of the primary sins of what the Democratic Party is wanting within the country.
That's like the perfect answer you just gave.
They're envious. They're envious of the Republican, and I would say because I tend to lean Republican. They're of the Republican setup in the country, in our stronghold within the country.
Yeah.
And they're doing whatever they can to scratch, claw, and beat that up.
Yeah.
And instead of uplifting us and working with us, they're doing the opposite. They're just going to dig, cry, and kick and scream until they get what they want.
Yeah.
And it's going to eventually work. Eventually, the American people will elect a Democratic president. We won't have...
Oh, I mean, that's without being said. So, yeah. It's just...
They're doing it the hard way instead of doing it the easy way.
Yeah.
Now, are there bad Republicans? Absolutely. We all know that there's bad people on both sides of the aisles. Not even just Republicans, but Tea Partyists, communists, socialists, whatever party you run for.
Whatever party you want. Not the Green Wig. What was that one that Jill Stein was? Green Rainbow?
Green Rainbow.
A dumbass.
Here's an unpopular opinion. I believe that there are good people within the Communist Party.
I'm sure they mean well.
Exactly. I think morally they mean well. Politically, they suck.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Do I think there are good people within the Republican Party? Yeah. Politically, to a lot of people, they suck.
But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of corruption that goes on in there.
So, power is something that's very relative, and it's all about how you want to use it. I would use it for good.
Yeah.
I would consult everybody. Yeah. I'd bring this back to a republic and not a democracy.
Yeah, you just bring it back to the basics.
Bring it back to the
basics. I think you just gave a perfect answer, though, because I didn't think you would give me an answer as to why some of these people would fight tooth and nail for power. That would do whatever it takes, but they're probably just jealous of something.
Jealousy.
They have some sort of envy towards whether it's another person or just, I don't know what. I mean, like, I don't know, man. It's just that great answer. You caught me off guard with that one. That's a great answer.
What would you do within your first 100 days of president?
If I had power?
Let's say you start from scratch. Let's say you just got inaugurated, and today you start your first day in office. Let's say you're in the current state of the country right now, where you have illegal immigration, quote-unquote racism, you have Black Lives Matter, Antifa.
I work on unifying the country, and that's probably the hardest thing you could do. Because I wouldn't want to do healthcare, because again, maybe I would have a solution that would work for a short while, but it wouldn't be like the permanence. It wouldn't, it'd be wrong, right? I don't know enough about it to do it. I wouldn't want to do taxes. I'd want to just do unification of the country or advancements. I hate when presidents do social issues. I wouldn't want to do any type of social issue, I guess. But, I mean, unifying the country is, I guess, a social issue. But, I don't know. If I had power, I'd probably, do that. Or technological advancements.
Specifically, what would you do?
Military
with the current
actually.
issues... Well, with the current issues facing our country...
Yeah.
And I mean current. The caravan coming up from Guatemala and Honduras.
I'd stop that, yeah.
What would you do?
If I was president right now, that would probably be something I would do right now. Stop that caravan. Try to unify the country. And then make military advancements.
How would you try to unify the country? Let's get deep into this. What would you use your power for?
I think Trump's doing it the right way. By calling out the media. Because, again, the media, as I definitely think the enemy of the people, right? The media is terrible. They're terribly biased. They're hypocritical. They suck. I think calling them out is a first step, and I think that's probably the smartest thing he's done.
What is that fixed? Nothing.
It's a slow fix, but I'll tell you exactly what it has fixed. It's made people go out and do other forms of research.
Sure.
Some people are still dumb and will only get their news from CNN, right?
Sure.
But you know what? He calls them out, and then it's like even if he just changes one person's mind where it's like, you know what? They are kind of biased. Let me take a look at, CNN and then Fox News and then, compare the two, right?
Sure.
Not that you should use those two for all of your news, right? You should go out there and read some other stuff as well. But you at least have now one
just
side
go listen to the
side
Cat
of the
podcast
story.
and get your real news.
Yeah, we're fairly biased.
Yeah, we are.
I try to be unbiased, but it's really hard when one aisle is stupid.
But I throw the devil's advocate stuff in there.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, calling out the media and just being, so these people are fake news, they're lying. Check out this side of the spectrum. You read both and then form your own opinion. And then most of the time, their opinion is going to probably fall to the right because at the end of the day, they just want money in their pockets so they can buy stuff, feed their kids, and live a happy life. Live the American dream, right? Democrats will not let you live the American dream because they're going to give all your money to Mexico and those Mexican or Guatemalan people that are coming in on that caravan.
Right.
That's why I have such an issue with the caravan so much.
So you stop the caravan.
Stop that.
You unify
and then just
the
continue
country.
doing what Trump is doing, probably blaming the media, calling them out on their lies, telling them to go inform themselves about all the great things he's doing. And here's something that he doesn't do that I wish he did do. He doesn't promote him. He promotes himself well, but he doesn't boast on the good stuff he does. He's not like, look at how great I am. I went to... Did you see the video of him going to the Pittsburgh hospital after the shooting that they had?
No, I did not.
He was there, thanked all the doctors, thanked all the nurses, told them they did a great job, and the doctors and nurses were so happy that he was there. He went and visited the patients and stuff like that.
Wow.
I mean, you see it sometimes on his Instagram, but I would boast so much. He should. He really should. He's a great person. He is so nice. He should boast about that. So then people can be like, oh, he's such a terrible person, he's racist. It's like, no, he's not. Look at what he's doing.
Right.
He's doing great things.
Right.
So he's doing everything that I would probably do, but probably better than I could. He's doing everything right. Other than, maybe leaning more towards green energy. I'd be for that. I think coal is dead. But
okay.
Other than that, yeah, he's doing pretty much everything that I would do if I had power.
So that's what you do in your first 100 days.
Yeah.
All right.
Just keep doing what he's doing and try to unify the country.
I got you.
It probably wouldn't work. It's definitely the hardest thing you could do.
Okay.
I think the only way this country would ever become unified is if the Democratic Party drops something hard.
Yeah.
And I'm talking hard. They've already dropped some hard stuff, right? Like the whole Bernie Sanders fiasco where they screwed Bernie Sanders out of the nomination to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Superdelegates, I think they finally got rid of superdelegates. A terrible idea anyway.
Yeah, very dumb.
Freaking. So they're kind of getting a little bit better, but they have to drop the ball hard on something to make people wake up and be like, all right, these people suck. We gotta not be like them.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Some sort of common interest within the entire country.
Right.
Nobody has a common interest in anything.
Nope.
You can't even agree on a language.
I know. Yeah, you can't agree on a
in
primary language for America, which is not a bad thing, I guess, because we're a land of many different cultural people, and many different.
I mean, it's fine, but English.
Yeah, English is the common denominator.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You're more than welcome to speak Spanish, and
Right.
people should learn Spanish. It's a
you go to
fantastic
France.
language.
You go to France. You're speaking French.
You should.
You go to Germany. You're speaking German.
German, exactly. I mean, this is another freaking Tucker Carlson interview that I saw where he talks about like Canada and how they don't have a common language.
No.
And if you go up to Canada, you go to like Toronto where they speak
English or French.
You go to Toronto where they speak English, right?
Right.
And then you go to Vancouver where they speak French.
Right.
It's like two separate countries.
Oui.
But it's all in Canada.
Right.
But it's two separate countries.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Feels like it because they don't have a common language.
Right.
And it's like it's kind of like that in this country, right? You go down to Florida. We'll be going down to Miami. You'll see it. I guarantee you'll see it when we go down to Miami. A lot of people will be speaking Spanish down there.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
I'm not saying that. Again, it's a fantastic language.
Right.
Learn it if you can. But there's no common ground there.
Sure.
And that would probably
and it causes
help
division.
unify.
It causes
exactly.
division. That's what it does.
Exactly.
That's an interesting 100-day plan, man.
Yeah. That'd be what I would do. I don't think I'd succeed though. But I don't want power. I don't think I could do it. I'd want to be immortalized,
Yeah.
but not in that way.
Right.
Not in that way. That's too much responsibility. Even owning like a Bill Gates, owning a $1 billion corporation, employing, I'll even scale it back, just owning a Chick-fil-A. All right,
Yeah.
if I were to own a Chick-fil-A and I was responsible for 20 employees, I don't want
Yep.
that kind of responsibility, man.
Yeah.
'Cause that's some people's livelihood.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
That's big. It's big. It's deep.
I think that. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a lot. 100 days. You know what I'd do for 100 days? If tomorrow I was president?
Collect the paycheck. Kick back. Relax.
Borderline. I would do absolutely nothing besides listen.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't do a single thing. I would not pick up a pen. I would not recommend anything. I would want to listen. I'd let everything that's going on in the United States government continue on, pan out. Let the immigrants come to the border. I want to hear what
you would let it crumble.
No, I want to hear what the American people have to say.
Yeah.
What do they want?
Be like, okay, you know what? You want this caravan coming in? Fine, we'll let them in. Let them in, and then reap just what you sow.
I want to know what they want.
Yep.
If the majority wants this, the majority's going to get that.
Yeah.
For the first 100 days, I want to listen. I want to sit back. I want to hear what people have to say.
Interesting answer.
I don't think that anyone's ever done that. Maybe back in the day.
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
But I don't think...
there used to be minimalist presidents. I mean, a lot of them didn't do a lot of... Again, the presidency, since probably the 60s, ever since, what's his name? Eisenhower warned about the
Right.
military-industrial complex.
Right.
We're all over the world, and basically we police the world. President's responsibilities has gone up and is probably the hardest job in the entire world.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of factors. You're going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah, you can't please everybody.
No, you cannot. And, yeah, physically, emotionally, and mentally, it's tolling.
Yeah,
You know
it's,
what I
it's
mean?
ridiculous.
But for the first 100 days, I'd consult with everybody in the government, from the military to Department of Housing to everybody in between.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd want to know what the country wants, what the country needs, and I'd act upon it. I wouldn't go out there with my own views.
Yeah.
I'd look at the overall welfare of the country.
It's hard, too, to find out what the country wants, because everybody wants something different. And just because you'd have to sample literally every single person to find out what the majority wants.
Do it.
Right. I mean, the census is technically mandatory, so...
Why not?
Census.
Why not create a census that says, fill
What do you
out
want?
a one-page essay of what you want.
Here's the top 3 issues. What do you want done? And literally
Give it to anybody.
everybody has to
Give
vote.
it to anybody over the age of 16 and above.
Sure.
Fill it out. Send it into your local town hall. Somebody will type them all out.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of work, but I mean, at least at that point you'd have a good sampling, right?
Sure.
You probably wouldn't be able to get all 320 million people,
No.
but I mean, if you get...
There'll be a lot of stamps.
You'd have to get at least, I don't know, to get the majority, at least 250.
Right.
250 million people.
I'd want to get a good idea of what the country wants as a whole and what.
That's good.
You know
You'd
what I
be
mean?
a good president.
I feel like
vote for
that's
you
a
if that
very
was the
good
case,
use of
yeah.
power.
I'd vote for you if that was the case. I
Awesome.
like that stance.
Awesome.
That's a very good stance.
Awesome. Well, I'd want to make my power be about the American people and not about myself.
Yeah, you would. Would you care about immortalization? Would you want to immortalize yourself?
No. You can throw me in the dark. I can be the guy in the back. Do you know what I mean?
Forgot. Yep.
I can be the gray man.
Forgot. Yep.
They call him the gray man. which
The
is
great man.
which is just the guy that blends in.
Yep.
I call the back shots, which is I sign the piece of paper at the end of the day, but I don't need my name on anything.
Yeah.
American history, Americans remember names and they remember people.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I don't need that publicity. I don't need to be remembered.
Couldn't care less.
Because when I'm dead, I won't care.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when people die, they don't care.
They don't care.
You never really find out if you were immortalized or not.
Well, I know, like, that's the thing, man. That's, again, why it's so interesting.
Why carry that much power to your grave? Why have that obsession with power where you feel like you need to be the biggest, baddest person in the world and you need to carry that to your grave? It's going to be passed on to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's out of your control.
Yeah. It's something that you can't. Yeah.
So when
unless you knew beforehand, but how would you know beforehand?
So I think the joke is on the people that abuse power. When they die, well, now somebody else gets that power, and you did nothing.
Yeah.
You might have ruined something, or you might have made something better, but you're dead, man. So power is relative.
I like that. You on point today, man. You
We
had
got
that
this.
one. You had why people would want it. It's for envy purposes. I mean, we're around 40 minutes, so I mean, you got anything else? I'm impressed with you today.
I don't really have anything else. I mean,
I honestly would have had more, but you caught me already. Like I said, you caught me off guard with that answer. That was a good answer.
Power is very relative. Power causes a lot of issues. Money causes a lot of issues. I feel like you need to have a solid base within yourself in order to handle both.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody screws up.
Would you want the responsibility of, I'll scale it back to, like I said, owning a Chick-fil-A and managing 20 people? Would you want that type of responsibility?
Sure.
So say you become a billionaire, right? You'd be a good billionaire?
Sure.
That's something I wanted to dive into actually a little bit more. It's just,
Would I be able to manage
people.
$1 billion?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's just good billionaires out there. So it's just like the whole concept of just the final thought. The whole concept of demonizing billionaires and they should pay more and stuff like that. Actually take a look back at it. They're fantastic people for the most part, I'm sure. And without them, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people unemployed who now don't have money or won't get benefits or
most
won't be able to provide
millionaires,
for their families.
Yeah, most millionaires/billionaires donate money or time.
Yeah.
The two most valuable resources we have in our society, besides natural resources, money and time. You can win back money, you can earn back money, you can steal back money. You can't win back, steal back, or anything with time.
Once it goes by, it goes by.
Once time is gone, it's gone.
I always found that amazing too. The one thing money can't buy, time.
It's a very deep mental concept.
Yeah.
Anybody that donates time is a good person.
Yeah.
Even if their intentions are bad.
Yeah.
They still donated time.
Yeah.
And that's something. So, no. Do I think that money corrupts? Money is corruption? No. But it comes with problems.
It can't. Yeah. It has problems.
Right.
I just wanted to say one more thing too. I just forgot what it was though. It was in my head. If you really hate billionaires that much, and you think they're terrible people and they should pay more of their money, try living in their shoes for a week. Try doing a billionaire's schedule for a week.
Sure.
Do everything a billionaire does, and maybe one day you could become a billionaire. And then, since you hate them so much, give away all your money.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my thing is like people, you can't criticize.
They work so hard. Like I said,
well, you
earlier,
can't even
they're like
criticize
a different breed of people.
They are, and you can't criticize somebody that makes a lot of money because, in essence, you want to be making a lot of money. Everybody wants a raise.
Yeah.
You know, if your boss were to come to you tomorrow and say, you know what, Josh, we're going to pay you this amount for the rest of your life, but you're never going to get a raise, no matter inflation.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be happy.
No.
You want to make more money.
Right.
So how can you criticize somebody that had that same goal but acted upon it?
And did it, right?
And did it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
A lot of lazy people out there.
If you were given a raise, we're going to get, Josh, you know what? You were great this year. We're going to give you $1 raise every year. But every year in taxes, I'm going to make you pay 40 cents more on that dollar. So now your raise just went to 60 cents.
Yeah.
And then the year after that, we're going to charge you 42 cents on that dollar. Oh, the year after that, 46 cents.
Keeps going up.
And it keeps going up.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're making less and less. You're getting more money, but you're making less and less on the raise. These people went out and they saw that issue and they said, okay, how can I make a lot of money?
Let's fix that to help the middle class.
How can I make a
Exactly.
lot of money? They
Exactly.
They went out,
Exactly.
made a lot of money, and now you're going to criticize them.
This is why I love doing this, because, again, just in sync. Our minds are
It's
in sync
insane.
on that.
It's insane.
It's absolutely insane. Next week, though, I want to do the topic that we were kind of in the middle of this podcast discussing, and that's making certain decisions and how you just kind of hope for the best, right? Because, again, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing. Back in 2001, it seemed like a good idea to go invade the Middle East. Knowing,
I like that a lot.
what we know, right?
Right.
And then the outcomes, and then basically, would you change anything?
What do you think Abraham Lincoln thought when he came up with the Emancipation Proclamation?
Right.
What do you think he was like? Well, I hope this works.
Hope it works, right?
I hope these people
There's no
are-
guarantee. I'm sure he did a lot of research behind it. but
What do you
there's no
think
guarantee
George
for anything.
Washington did when he crossed the Delaware River? It's our last stand for freedom,
Yeah,
but I hope
a
it
gamble.
works.
A gamble,
You know what I mean?
right?
And
Yeah.
and that's where our society is built on gambles. From
Yeah.
the Mayflower to now, it's
I think
built
all
on
societies
gambles.
are built on gambles. All societies are built on
They're
gambles.
built
but
on
ours-
gambles, but they're also built on different morals, and I'll bring that up in the
Yeah.
next one.
We should do that next week because that one sounds like a fun one.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, we're hitting it up around.
45 minutes here.
All right. You know what to do. Smash the like button. Hit us up on Instagram @TheCapToday. Hit us up on Twitter @TheCapToday. And we will see you in the next one.